Three, two, one. Welcome to the Lightforge. This is Adwikta.
This is Merps. We actually have stuff to talk about this week.
So
Huge
much stuff.
announcement. As Frodan says, this was the week that will set up Hearthstone for the next 10 years.
Okay,
10 years.
okay. One huge exaggeration. I don't know how disappointed you were. I don't think we've talked about like between us. I don't think we've talked about the changes like in the big picture. But like I was a little underwhelmed. We'll get into what the exact changes are soon, but like just to throw it off, I was a little underwhelmed. I felt like it was so consistent, right? And so many people had so many superlatives about how great these announcements were. And to be fair, we don't know all the announcements yet. They just announced the stuff that was coming out with the next expansion. The stuff after that's still a little like shady. So maybe other people know even more, right, than what they've revealed. But I don't know. I'll just tick through it really quickly. Like Priest is getting a slight rework. They're gonna buff a few cards and add a few cards and rotate the Hall of Fame a few cards. There's going to be a balance patch for Battlegrounds came out. A new class is coming, the Demon Hunter. That's going to be available in both Constructed and the Arena when the new expansion comes out, and they're going to add enough cards to like sort of make it on par with the others. Not quite, but it'll get there by the end of the year. And the new expansion, of course, is announced. Did I miss
Yep.
anything?
That's basically it. There were a lot of other things that people were happy about that's not really applicable to what we talk about. One of the biggest news, if you care at all about your card
Oh
collection,
yeah,
is the no more duplicate, like no duplications for all rarities now.
yeah.
Um,
Before it was just
so
legendary.
yeah, exactly. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean that like you're just gonna end up with packs with all legendaries. What it means is that like first the game sets it's like okay, you're supposed to get uh three commons, a rare, and an epic card in this pack. For all those three common cards, it'll go through your collection and be like, which common card do you not have yet? And it'll make sure to give you one that you don't have. If you have all the commons, then that's when they start giving you duplicates. And then for the rare, they ask you the same. For the epic, they ask you the same,
I mean,
essentially.
it effectively cuts down on the cost of the game quite significantly. Like I was doing like
A
a little
ton.
back of the envelope math, and it's like
Yeah.
they like yeah. I mean, it doesn't really matter to us. We never really like buy packs or care about our collection except for golden cards, which we never find in packs anyway. But yeah,
Now, the only reason I buy packs is to have emotes and stats and more hero choices in
for Battlegrounds,
Battlegrounds.
and that's going away. So Battlegrounds is going to be under a new I guess we'll call it like what do they call it? The resource system, a new like how to give Blizzard money system. Rather than making all of your battleground perks like having three classes to choose from instead of two, or getting stats or like whatever, rather than having that be based on packs you buy or earn, it's gonna be you have to buy a battle pass, which is $20 or 2,500 gold, I think, and that'll be available next week. For the next like 4 months battle pass. And also, this battle pass comes with 4 arena tickets, which is, I kid you not, the only time arena was mentioned in this entire big announcement.
Yeah, so look, this announcement was so big that if you go to the Hearthstone website, they had to divide up all the news onto four different articles slash posts. This is the big one that was like hyped and rehyped and hyped. Um, and Within these four articles, within the day of news that Kibler helped break to all of us in the large show with the vast amount of quality trailers and videos that they showed, there was no mention of Arena at all, which is fantastic if you are a lover of the Arena. What they did say is that they are creating a new game mode that uses your collection and is similar to Arena.
And that is
So,
coming out in August with the next expansion. Not this one, but the next one. Which, if you've been listening to the Lightforge podcast, I have been calling for months that August is when the arena will be either totally redone or replaced.
yeah, and we talked about this as well a few weeks ago. How what they've done is tinker with the arena, and try to pull some levers, sort of slap some, paint and stickers on the current arena, and then sort of forget about it. And that's just not enough. And we were saying how we want a good limited format. Right now, the arena just isn't that. It's just not the quality limited format that I think a lot of people, especially new people, want to jump into. Battlegrounds is the superior limited format right now. And they need to do something very drastic. And we don't know much other than that one sentence.
Hmm.
Uh, but we're hoping that whatever it is, they are looking at their current limited format arena and being like, look, we want to give people who like limited formats a really, really good system and game mode. And this is what we want to do. So we
Yeah.
have no idea if that's true. That like it just could be constructed 1.1, right?
Yeah.
It could be.
Well, they made enough references to Arena, and really Arena's the one in more trouble than Constructed and has more
It
like
is.
potential to build on, right, in creative directions. So I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure this is going to be the Arena 2.0 mode that's coming out.
I think so. I think so. But literally, that one sentence is the only thing we know. I'm not sure we'll be hearing about it anytime soon. Once again, they're just previewing this, and we'll see. I will say until then, man, Arena is kind of like if you thought it was sort of dead in the water before, after this huge announcement in which they were just like, okay, look, we're setting the future of Hearthstone right here, without a single mention of the Arena. How can you possibly sort of be excited about the future of this game mode, right?
I mean, Arena HS, the Arena subreddit, tried. They were like, "Hey guys, the Battle Pass has Arena tickets in it. That's nice." But really, this is Arena is dead, guys. That was the death
It's
knell.
dead.
It was
It's
dying. They were removing various amounts of support for it. They stopped doing leaderboards for no reason. Oh, but they did leaderboards. They finally released like a 3 month leaderboard or something after the fact. But Arena's dead. Like, make no mistake. This is not like the grand revival of the arena is coming in 5 months. This is Arena is dead. A new game mode will come that will hopefully give you the same types of limited format play that Arena gives you, but is better made.
yeah.
That's what we're hoping for. That's what Blizzard is kind of hinting at that they're trying to deliver. And really, this is the death of the arena.
I think so. It's like if something wasn't announced for here, like within this huge, huge hyped up kind of this is how we're going to set the future of Hearthstone summit slash announcement. Um, I think it's fair to say that they don't have anything in the plans for arenas, right? They're going to update it. They're going to keep on rotating, micro just here or there, maybe a leaderboard here or there, but nothing really change. And
Yeah.
with a lot of things in life, if you're not moving forward, you're really like getting left behind. And Arena hasn't been moving forward for many, many years,
Arena's
which
been
means
moving
that
backwards for the last like 8 months.
yeah,
And
yeah,
not just like they've been messing up, but like they've literally been moving backwards and taking away features. Just anything that takes effort for them to support, they've removed it because that's not what they're focused on right now.
yep.
And yeah, so if you were hoping against hope and against all indications that this announcement was going to be a announcement that featured some element of the arena, it is not, and it pretty much confirms that arena will be where it is now for the foreseeable future, as in for the entire next 12 months.
Yeah. So I
Um,
can tell you personally, unless something dramatically changes with the arena, I mean like dramatically, not just a rotation, not just micro adjust or something, I'm pretty much done with the arena. I like where Battlegrounds is going. I like how frequently they're updating and completely changing up the Battlegrounds meta. Um, every single patch, it seems they are putting a ton of thought into the new heroes that they introduce, or even like old heroes that they tweak a little bit, cards that they change. You can tell like whatever manpower, whatever resources that they have over there on Team 5, a vast majority of it is going to Battlegrounds. So that's where I'm going to be going.
Well, I
Like,
don't
if
know
we're
that
going to
a
put
vast
energy into
majority
that,
is going to Battlegrounds. They make new expansions every 4 months, and that doesn't touch Battlegrounds at all. So the vast majority of the effort is going into not Battleground. There's just more specific Battleground effort than specific arena effort. Like, every time you release a new expansion, that's a ton of arena content, right? It's not made for the arena, but arena gets it. Whereas
it is
Battleground gets
very true.
nothing. So,
Yeah.
like, it's their focus is definitely more on Battlegrounds than the arena, but it's not like arena stopped getting content, right? In the new
No, it's
patch, the
not
new
stopping.
hero, like that's all going in the arena.
Right. But once again, annoyingly, because it is geared towards constructed and with no thought towards the arena, seemingly, that's how you get like Twin Tyrant, right?
Right.
Which doesn't get used in constructed. So you'd think it's like, well, maybe not have this completely dominate the arena. But we've had that with neutral cards for way, way, way too long. Like oppressively powerful neutral cards that never get played and constructed, and you can tell, you can just look at it and it's like, okay, this is like never getting played. But within the arena, it's like, yikes, this thing defines the meta. But having said that, I don't want this to be like a super somber thing. I just want to sort of touch upon it. We do have a lot of changes to talk about. So what do you want to
Yeah.
talk about first?
Well, before we talk about that, I want to reassure our listeners. You went all like, I'm not going to play arena anymore. I will still be playing the arena. So at least one of us will be playing the arena, and we will be having our normal expansion of the stream schedule with the release of the new expansion. Like, so that the entire week after the release of every expansion, where we have all streams every night instead of our normal schedule, which is Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Sunday. We have it for the entire week after the release, and that's going to be the case for this expansion as well. And I will be playing predominantly arena during that time, and likely after that as well. Right now, I'm not playing the arena because it's like the end of a meta, and I hate the end of a meta. And I'm playing a lot of Battlegrounds actually, but I will still be like with the new expansion playing primarily arena, and the resources that we normally provide will still be there. We're doing a lot of work right now updating the algorithm for the Demon Hunter new class, which is going to be in the arena, and also for the new expansion. They've given us very little time to do all this, and it's gonna be rough on the timing. But we're gonna have that out at release on day 0 before the expansion launches, as usual. It's business as usual. Just, temper your expectations about the game mode and any serious changes that go into it, because nothing's gonna happen for a year, if ever. Like, if the new game mode really fills the arena niche and everybody likes it, they may just like cancel arena in the next year. Like, not within 12 months, but the next year's expansion in the spring. Okay, so with that out of the way, I would also like to thank our Patreons, our wonderful Patreons. We have a Patreon, if you don't know. It's patreon.com/grinninggoat. And our top patrons for March: 4P, Aaron LS2, Brand New, Dan F, Eric L, Feldy Locks, Jordan W, Math Carnage, RV Nitrain, Torjado, and Yin. Thank you guys so much for your support. Really means a lot to our stream, and to get a little income out of this. We like to say we do this for minimum wage, but I think these days we're doing it for like a little less than minimum wage. Yeah, federally not allowed. But yeah, thank you guys so much. It means a lot. Okay, we gotta make time on this. There's just so much stuff to talk about, and because there's so much stuff to talk about, we are not going to talk about the Demon Hunter, which is the most exciting thing, I think, but we're not going to talk about it. That will be next week. Next week will be mostly about the Demon Hunter, if not all about the Demon Hunter. It's so important, and it's not coming out, in the next week anyway. So we'll just push it off and talk about it then. And we may have the full set of Demon Hunter cards by then too. Right now, we're still missing like 3 or 4 cards that we don't know about yet because Blizzard hasn't revealed it. But yeah. So we're not going to talk about Demon Hunter. If you are curious about it, you can go look up other resources on it. It's going to be an exciting class. The kind of hook is that it has a 1 mana hero power instead of the 2 mana one, and you just get +1 attack on your face like a druid, but without the armor and for 1 less mana, which is a really good deal. There's also the new expansion, the Ashes of Outlands, AOO. We're not going to talk about that either now or next week. We're going to do that big giant, Lightforge tier list valuation stream on the Sunday before release as normal. And that's when we'll talk about all the cards. Like, you won't hear us talk about cards before then, unless they reveal like a neutral and the neutral common that's like twice as good as Twin Tyrant. Then we may not be able to help ourselves. But so far that hasn't been the case. It's all been, along the power levels of the last year of releases from what I've seen. Powerful compared to historical Hearthstone, but nothing super ridiculous. So we're going to shelve those basically to the sides, and that'll be the next 2 Lightforges. Today, we're going to focus on what's happening on Thursday. This Thursday, there will be a patch. In this patch, there will be a rework of priests. And we'll also talk about what's already happened in Battlegrounds, which is that they added a whole bunch of heroes and they changed the meta. And I think this is the best Battlegrounds meta yet. It's very interesting. And I'm playing a lot of Battlegrounds. I'm almost 9.5k rating now. Almost. I was a hair away. And then I was like, hey, Merps, come co-op with me and help me learn this Millhouse guy, which I have never placed in the top 4 with Millhouse. And he's like, all right, Millhouse is really good. I'll help. And then we got 5.5 or something. Something not very good. But I'm close. I may get to 10k before the release of this expansion after all. We'll see. Okay. So that's the thing. Let's start first then with Priest rework. And I'm gonna go to, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see it, and I'm gonna show the cards. Let me see if I can get. And if you're listening, we will describe all the cards. Okay, so the first thing about priests is that they don't actually show all the cards. Do you have a list of all the cards that are gonna Hall of Fame? Let's start there.
Oh, you want to talk about the Hall of Fame?
Let's talk about Hall of Fame. Okay, you look up the Hall of Fame stuff because I don't have that actually handy. I thought it was on this website, but it's not. The website we're showing is from PC Gamer.
Sure, I have the Hall of Fame cards. We can talk about.
Let's talk about them
All
first.
Right. Here are the 5 cards that are entering the Hall of Fame, which means that for Standard, Constructed, and for the Arena, you won't be seeing these cards anymore. And these are Acolyte of Pain, Spellbreaker, Mind Control Tech, which has already been banned, but I'm guessing you won't be able to discover it anymore, right? Because you can't discover.
You won't be able to discover it anymore.
Yeah. So right now you can, if you are able to discover like Battlecry cards or 3-cost cards, you can still discover Mind Control Tech. It's just undraftable right now. But after this change, MCT will truly be gone from the arena. Mountain Giant is gone, and Leroy Jenkins is gone. The 2 that are most applicable are no doubt Acolyte of Pain and Spellbreaker. Average to kind of like above average, depending on your deck cards that we have seen a lot, which were useful. The reason that they are banning these 2 cards, as Ixar stated in the video reveal, was just because these were too ubiquitous in certain types of decks that you would just always toss double Spellbreakers if you needed silences. The cost was not as much as an Owl. And for Acolyte of Pain, if you were playing control deck, you just like mindlessly double tossed an Acolyte of Pain, and they had to work around these. So the others I won't really talk about because they're not that applicable to the arena. But we certainly will miss Acolyte of Pain and Spellbreaker because we've been seeing those quite a lot.
Yep. And they were not problematic in the arena. So
no.
It's a casualty. It's like Azure Drake, right? We lost Azure Drake a long time ago to Hall of Fame. And it was a totally nice, normal, these days probably not even like above average powered arena card.
I mean, look at big old Whelp.
I don't
Yeah.
want to look at big ol' whelp.
Big ol' whelp is just like that's what you expect. It's not even a premium on 5. It's just like, oh, okay, they have a big ol' whelp. That's expected.
God. All right. So yeah, not much to talk about there. There's also some nerfs that are getting reverted. And we're not going to go over all of them. Like Sledge Slurper is getting reverted to what it was before. Spellstone, the Hunter Spellstone, Emerald Spellstone, that's going to be a big one. That's going to be very annoying for the arena whenever we get Witchwood back in. I think it's Witchwood. No, it's not Witchwood. It's Kobolds and Catacombs. But yeah, maybe not Kobolds and Catacombs. It was one of the sets. One of the sets had this card in, the Spellstone set. And whenever that set comes back into the arena, you're going to wish Emerald Spellstone was not unnerved. Because it's 5 mana for 2 to summon 2/3/3s.
Yeah, it's Kobolds and Catacombs.
Kobolds and Catacombs. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. So 5 mana to summon 2/3/3s, and you get more for each secret you played. So it's like really good, like a normal minion, and then you just get like bonus wolves the more secrets you played. It's silly. So that's a reversion, and the other key reversion that's going to impact the arena is it actually hasn't happened yet. But I guess you won't see it anyway because it's not in the meta. But Giggling Inventor is getting reverted, but they did not go all the way. It's 6 mana instead of 7, and that makes it a super premium card, but not a game-breakingly premium card. So congrats, Blizzard. It's nice to see that this card wasn't fully reverted to its old 5 mana self. At 6 mana, it's going to be very powerful. I think it'll be around like Wrap Golem level, like maybe a little below like Twin Tyrant and whatever. But it's going to be a very powerful card. You're going to hate it, but it's not going to like totally 100% warp every single game you play, like the way it was when it came out at 5 mana.
Yeah, when it was at 5 mana, its score was
over
close to a Godfrey. So it was like a neutral Godfrey that came out 2 turns earlier.
Yep. Oh, it had offering bonus.
And it had an offering bonus. So it's like it's basically like if Lord Godfrey was a neutral card and its effect started going off on turn 5. It was basically like that. Now I understand the effect is like very, very different, right? But in terms of kind of swing and annoying kind of, game control that you have, it's pretty much similar.
Yeah. All right. So those are the changes. They're I wouldn't say good changes because they're making cards overpowered again, but they're not like I'm grading Blizzard's like balance things for the arena on a curve these days because after the last year, the baseline has really changed, right? So you can't judge them by like the classic baseline anymore and say these are super overpowered. You have to judge them by the new baseline where Twin Tyrant is a valid card that they're not going to nerf. So on that new baseline, these are not breaking anything in new ways that aren't already like broken, for lack of a better way of saying it. So they're fine. Okay, let's move on to the actual priest changes, which is going to change the whole way the whole entire class operates. They Hall of Famed a bunch of priest cards. Let's talk about those. I don't have that list either. I just
sure. All right. Let's talk about the 6 cards leaving the priest toolkit, and they are.
And let's talk about them one by one.
Okay, sure. Akanai Soul Priest.
Great arena card. Super. Sorry, go ahead.
One of the themes that they wanted to do was like they want to make priest identity more clear, and the cards that are leaving kind of just don't fit or constrain them heavily on the sort of priest that they want people to play. Because priest was always kind of mixed, right? It's like, well, what is priest? It's like, oh, you heal, you're on the board, but no, you combo a lot. And they wanted to limit the combo potential of priest. So that's why they're getting rid of these 6 cards. So yes, first is Akanai Soul Priest, which very good card in the arena. We've used it a lot, especially like turn 6. You just drop the Akanai, you use the hero power to deal 2 damage.
It was good in the arena. It was a fine card in the arena. There was no problem with it. They just went in a different direction overall for the priest. Like they also removed Mind Blast is another one of those cards, right?
Yeah, way back then, just because Mind Blast. They're like, well, this thing doesn't it just doesn't fit. Second card they're removing is Holy Fire. Remember, 6 mana, deal 5 damage, heal 5 damage to your face. This is just reach that they didn't want priests to really have. It's subpar reach, but with the stuff that priests can do, they were just like, let's not give them like damage. And you'll see
Yeah,
in the changes as well to
they
the
took a lot of face damage away from Priest.
they took a lot of face damage away from Priest, and because they want them to focus on this like healing thing, not like suddenly being a Shadow Priest and like killing you
Yeah.
in one
The
turn.
Shadow Priest thing always felt more like an expansion thing, but they just built it into like the Priest class as a base.
It
So
was
I
very
like the
strange.
direction. I like getting rid of that.
Yeah, which ties into the next one, Shadow Form. They're getting
Mm,
rid of Shadow Form because they just weren't really supporting this archetype anyways. And in order to make the class, I guess, more homogenized, a little bit more pure, literally, I guess, a little bit more pure, they're getting rid of Shadow Form. Prophet Valen is getting Hall of Famed. Really not that applicable to the arena because how often do you really use its power? But in constructed, Prophet Valen getting cheesed out and then getting duplicated through whatever means is available during that expansion and during that set, and then suddenly dealing a bazillion damage to their face. That's been abused time and time again in constructed. So Prophet Valen obviously limited a lot of design, and that's why it's gone. And then we also have Divine Spirit. Divine Spirit, which obviously doubles the health of minions.
yeah, that was
And
problematic. The
that
word
was very
double is
problem.
problematic.
Yeah, that's always problematic. And then Divine Spirit was, as you saw, like just basically last year. That's where like combo priest, like OTK combo priest, came from. With like the Ahmet, with the clerics, with all of the stuff, and then suddenly like 30, 40 damage to your face. And they were saying that Divine Spirit really limited any sort of uh, buff cards that they were designing. So just getting rid of Divine Spirit allows them to print a lot more on its face powerful cards for the priest. So that should be good. Like you don't want this one card limiting every other card for the priest. And lastly, uh the favorite one drop, the most annoying one drop in the game, Northshire Cleric
This is
is
the one
entering
you're gonna
Hall of Fame.
feel. Like this is the one that's gonna change a lot of things you're scared about for priests.
This is one of those cards in which, for a long time, constructed players have said Northshire Cleric is the most problematic card for Priest. It is a powerhouse, it has way too much stats, and its effect is way too good. And in the arena, it has been a very premium card as well. It has
mhm.
defined the identity of Priest by allowing them to draw cards and make their decks a little bit more consistent while giving them a one drop to just fight off aggro as well.
Yeah,
So
it's rated
this
like a
is a card,
145 in the arena right now or something.
yeah,
Like it's high.
it's extraordinarily high. So this is
Sorry,
one that,
155.
oh yeah, so this is one that people will definitely miss out on.
Yeah, and it's not just like also look at the swings, right? And this is a card that can cause like endless card draw, so or just like one burst of a ton of card draw. Either way, there's a lot of
Mhm.
swing involved in this card. Or it could just be a 1 mana 1/3 like that you play on turn 9. So
Yeah,
that's a lot of swing, and you don't want that. So I like that this card's no longer in the game. Um,
it's one of those things that like if we're talking about um Blizzard limiting combo and OTK kind of stuff, well, Cleric allows you. It's one of the best ways to draw cards. Period. Right.
mhm.
Like you can just basically cycle through your deck with one or two clerics really, really easily, and then like Cleric is one of the generators for these like OTK decks. So they really want to strip it of all of its tools, like the cards that allow them to finish, uh, and the cards that allow them to draw the cards in order to finish.
Yeah.
So
So you're gonna see a lot of card draws go away. You're gonna see a lot of base damage go away. That's kind of where we're at.
yep.
Okay, so now moving on to the other parts of the priest change. Um, they're going to buff a few cards. And the most important card that just got
Not
buffed.
really buff. They say balance because some of these
No.
aren't exactly buffs.
Okay, some of them aren't buffs, but most of them are buffs. Holy
Most of them
Nova
are buffs.
is the big one. It's 4 mana now. You also don't deal face damage anymore, but it's 4 mana now instead of 5. So you have Consecration for the Paladin, which deals 2 face damage, or you have Holy Nova, which heals yourself for 2 and everything on your side of the board.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good. Holy Nova used to be a 170 on the tier list, and after this change, it's gonna be like a 180, like a high 180s. So it didn't really gain that many points. I know a lot of people were freaking out and was like, "Oh my god, it's 4 mana, it's 1 less mana, that's huge." But this is not like we think about how much a mana cost affects something. You have to think about what kind of card it is. The more situational a card is, the less your mana cost is actually going to affect you. Because think about how often you wanted to play a Holy Nova that happened to be in your hand on turn 4. Very infrequently. So it actually is just a mana. It's not like a huge effect. On the other hand, if you had something like a normal 5 mana minion, like a 5/5 or something, and you change that to 4 mana, well, now you kind of always want to play it on turn 4 if you have it in your hand. And that becomes a huge impact. So yes, it went down a mana. You may think, oh, it got like super ridiculous. It's kind of still pretty like balanced for a super premium class, like class defining card. Flame Strike is still way higher. Flame Strike is almost a 200. So this is a change that, like, I don't like powerful cards, so I don't like it. But overall, it's not that big of a buff.
Yeah, definitely still a buff, and it's close. So, guys, it's close to 200, which means it's really, really good.
Yeah, but it was really, really
insanely good. But it was really, really good.
It was a 170, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was better. Like, it used to be better than Breath of the Infinite in this meta. And people think Breath of the Infinite is, like, super, super busted. But, like, Holy Nova used to be better than Breath of the Infinite. And now it's, like, a lot better than Breath of the Infinite. And we saw, like, Northshire Cleric's only 155, right? So this is still, like, easily the best Priest classic card. Was the case, still is the case. Okay.
All right.
Next on the buff list, or in this case rework, I guess, Power Word Shield. Power Word Shield used to be 1 mana, give a minion +2 health, draw a card. Priests are no longer allowed to draw cards. So it has now become 0 mana, give a minion +2 health. It's not that bad. It's very good tempo, right? It used to be tempo neutral, now it's pro tempo, which is kind of weird to give priests like a super tempo card. But you're going to see with a lot of the new cards that priests have coming in that replaces their Hall of Fame cards, the tempo priest is getting kind of a buff here, and tempo as in like how I play priest. You get on the board quick, you hit stuff, you heal stuff, right? Not like you do a weird combo, all of a sudden you're shadow priesting their face. Like you turn into a hunter halfway through the game. So yeah, it's Power Word Shield. This is going to end up being rated a little under a 100, a little under a 100, maybe a little under a 90 even. Like don't pick it, but if you have to pick it, it's not the end of the world.
It's definitely worse than the average card in your deck.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, definitely
a decent amount. So,
but it just like imagine you're playing on turn 3 a 4/3, right? Now it's a Yeti, and you're a priest, so you can heal it the turn after that. Like it does stuff, right? More than just its tiny stats may seem to indicate.
Yeah, definitely. All right. I don't know what order. You don't.
Next is Holy
going...
Smite. I'm going in.
Right.
If you're watching the stream, I'm going in the order of PC Gamer.
Okay, well that's a weird one to go by. Sure. Okay, I'll just let you do it, and then I'll interject with a comment or two.
Holy Smite, the change that's being made to Holy Smite, it used to be 1 mana, deal 2 damage. Now it's 1 mana, deal 3 damage, but only to minions, not to face. So that's a pretty big buff. That's
a huge buff. Oh my gosh. That damage ratio is amazing.
You remember back in the day when Shaman had a Rockbiter weapon that was 1 mana, give your face 3 attack?
Yeah.
And that was insane. And that hurt yourself. This doesn't even hurt yourself.
Yeah. And this can shoot past taunts and everything. So it's really good. That's it. Not much to say about it.
Yeah, it's gonna come in at a little under a 150. Um, so I don't know what's around a 150. Let me find a 150 equivalent. Faceless Corruptor right now is a 155. So Big Ol' Whelp is a 134. So somewhere between a Big Ol' Whelp and a Faceless Corruptor.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, 1 mana for 3 damage.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's so good.
It's a tiny bit below Aeon Reaver. I know people think Aeon Reaver is like the most busted card ever, but it is a 6 mana card that takes a while to get going. And this is just tempo anytime you want it, right? 3 damage.
Yep.
So it's very powerful. Not Holy Nova level, but very powerful. Okay, next is Shadow Madness. It was 4 mana, now it's 3 mana. Again, this squarely falls into the zone of there are so many conditionals attached to it. Lowering a 1 mana is not that big of a buff.
Yeah.
Like I think we moved it up like 10 points, 15 points. Like it's not that big of a deal.
Shadow Madness has always been one of those cards, especially like because in the recent couple of years, I've actually played a lot of Priest. So many times you're just like trying to find a decent use for Shadow Madness. And a lot of the times, with the way that Priest plays out, you're just really hanging mana a ton. Like you're just hanging a ton of mana in the games. So yeah, look, whenever you reduce something like Shadow Madness, it will be applicable sometimes, but probably not as much as you guys think it will. So yeah, Shadow Madness, it's nice. It'll raise the score, but not ridiculously so.
Shadow Word Death. This was clearly an underpowered card that needed to be buffed. At 3 mana, it was only 2 mana less or 40% less than an Assassinate. And it had like a ridiculous limitation. The attack of the minion had to be 5 or more. Because normally you would assassinate a lot of targets with less than 5 attack. But no. They lowered it by a mana. It's now 2 mana. I don't know why. But Shadow Word Death was a 134. So it was like a pretty good removal. Not one of the like super premium removals, but it was a pretty damn good removal. And now it's a 155, so now it's a super premium removal. I guess they just wanted it to be a super premium removal, right? Like,
yeah, no, they want Priest to be powerful, and they want them to be like the sort of annoying removal class, but they weren't okay with them having these tools and being able to OTK you, right?
Yeah.
So they're fine with giving them these like powerful removal tools, but they're like, okay, but now you have to play fair otherwise, because before it was just unfair. Like Priests were always sort of like either dumpster tier, or if they had the tools to like combo you, it was just oppressively unfun, right? Like when Priests were really good and constructed, a lot of people were complaining that it was just unfun. It was basically them playing solitaire and then suddenly divine spirit and then just kill you.
Priests being unfun to face? That's not just
Crazy.
a constructed issue.
Crazy. I know.
So yeah, so Priests are going to be a little less fun to face in Arena now. But glad they're making constructed better. But honestly, this is just like kind of polymorph level, right? Like this is not a ridiculous removal. All classes have really good removals in their classic sets. They made Shadow Word Death like kind of match, which is not bad, right? Like it's a Priest. They should have a good removal, good nice single target removal. And finally, the last card that they buffed is Tempo Enforcer.
There's one more card after this.
There is one more card after this. But what? Okay, back to Tempo Enforcer though. It was a 6 mana 6/6. Battlecry, give a friendly minion +3 health. Totally good card in the arena. Very usable. We've all been using it for years and years. And it is currently rated in the current meta on our tier list at a 112. That was like a little better than a Yeti, right? It was a nice, solid, balanced card. Well, the new power level says these cards shouldn't be balanced around a Yeti, which is fair. They really shouldn't. They're your core class cards that give you class identity. So Tempo Enforcer is now a 5 mana 5/6. So even if you don't buff anything, it is on curve, and you get a bonus: give a friendly minion +3 health. This fits in with I'm forgetting that card's name. The 3 mana 3/4 that gave +3 health. That was ridiculous.
Talon Priest.
Talon Priest, yeah. And the other one that was like Death Rattle.
Cultist, Dark Cultist.
Yeah. So Cultist, Talon Priest, you get the idea, right? You should basically get like free health buffs as the priest. In fact, Power Word Shield like strengthens that idea, right? 0 mana, give +2 health. You should just give free health buffs as priest, tempo wise. This card is not insane. Like, I thought this card was actually going to come out way higher than it did. But we put it in the algorithm, it's going to be like a 135, a little over a 135. So it's going to be like, what's a 135? It's going to be like a whelp. Yeah, it's going to be like a big old whelp, which is also a 5 mana card. So you could draw a card, or you can have 1 extra health and give a friendly minion +3 health.
I think that's like about the sort of trade-off, right? Like that you're looking at. Plus, you know, the whelp has a dragon tag. If it didn't have a dragon tag, it would be lower. But yeah, it's like, so you're switching the dragon tag for 1 health and a conditional sometimes 3 health on something that matters. So I think that's about the trade-off that you would give. So that score makes sense to me.
Yeah. And it makes it more buffy, right? Like, one of the problems with Tempo Priest historically was that in the classic set didn't support it as much. You had this Tempo Enforcer kind of hanging out here. You had a Power Word Shield, and then that was kind of it. And you couldn't really do much with it. Well, now the package is going to get more complete. You'll see in the new cards that come too. But Tempo Enforcer buff is a part of that. And finally, the last buff that happened is Thought Steal. It was 3 mana. It's now 2 mana. I mean, like, to be fair, the card was never like super good. It did what it needed to do, right? Which is like something that you may need, right? You may need to draw cards, and so you did it. It was worse than a Yeti. We rated it worse than a Yeti in the current meta, and now it's gonna be better than a Yeti. Like,
yeah,
it's not insane. It's gonna be 130.
This is something that Blizzard has said is okay. They don't want you cycling through your own deck, because that's problematic with Priest. But if you're taking cards from your opponent, that's fine, because your opponent's deck, unless you're playing in the mirror match, their deck doesn't synergize with yours. It doesn't fit into any sort of OTK game plan, most likely. So you being able to cheaply and efficiently do that, Blizzard is very okay with. So it just falls in line with what they're doing with Priest. Like, all of these changes, the cards entering Hall of Fame, these pretty big buffs, you know, to some of these cards. It's all a give and take. It's like we're taking away a lot of tools that they have, but we're going to buff this aspect of Priest that we really want to emphasize. So that's kind of exciting. You know, anytime a game company is just looking at a class and they're like, we just don't like the direction this is going. This is like really annoying. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what sort of how Priest plays out after all of these things, in addition to the expansion as well.
Yep. Like, Thought Steal at 2 mana, I have no problems with. This is a card that like should be more powerful than it was before. Like, I wanted to take Thought Steals more. I think it would be fun if I were allowed to take more Thought Steals in the arena. And Arena doesn't have the same issues Constructed does. Like, your decks are less specialized, so stealing their cards is usually almost as good as getting your own cards. So it's just a pretty powerful card. But it's still fun, right? You never know what you're going to get. Like, I really like this buff. All right. New cards. You want me to go through the start with the new cards as well?
I will go through
Okay.
them.
I'll try to find it.
All right. So I'm going by the official Hearthstone blog post.
Okay.
The first card, so instead, because, you know, the Hall of Fame in those cards, they need to replace them with some stuff. And these are the cards they're replacing with. The first one is Psychic Conjurer, which is a 1 mana, 1/1 minion, battle cry. Copy a card in your opponent's deck and add it to your hand. Once again, generating cards from your opponent's deck is fine. They just don't want you cycling through yours. Very fair card.
Yeah,
1 mana.
fair,
Like, we
nice,
see this
basic.
Yeah, we see this effect like so many times. 1 mana, 1/1. Give yourself a copy of some sort of card, whether
Hmm.
it's a beast, whether it's like some sort of minion with some sort of tribe or tag. This is just another one of those cards.
It's good. I like it.
It's
It's
good.
also it's the 1 mana replacement for Northshire Cleric. They're like,
I
this is
know.
what you do now.
This is what you do. No longer do you have a well statted card that eventually draws you 10 cards from your
You get
deck.
one, and it's not from your deck, and it's a 1/1.
Yeah, you get one. Next, we have a buff card, and the result of them removing Divine Spirit, which gives us Power Infusion. Power Infusion is
Also
a
known as
yeah, yeah.
also known as Power
Arms,
Word Tentacles.
arms, yeah.
Um,
Tentacle for arms. Um,
it's 4 mana, give a minion +2/+6, and Power Word Tentacles is 5 mana, give a minion
mhm,
+2/+6. So it's just a 1 mana cheaper version of an old card we've seen before.
yeah. So, um, it's good. It's good. Power Tentacles was always useful.
Hmm. You can't be too excited about it, but it
Power
was
word
playable.
tentacles. Anyways, um, the next card is
Okay, hold
a
on.
two.
So Power Infusion is going to be like also around like a 130 on the tier list, by the way, in case you guys are wondering just how good it is. It's like around a big old whelp. It's around a new thought steal. Like it's a balanced card. It's a balanced low premium class card.
Well, it's just it's like Blessing of Kings, but the stats are tilted,
Yep.
right? And it's tilted in a way that is very good for priest.
I mean, it's better for priest, but still overall, you'd rather get attack than health. Like when
Yeah,
you're already getting 4 health, right?
I think the ideal that you would prefer is like instead of either +2/+6 or +4/+4 is +3/+5.
Yeah.
That's like a lot of times you want that +3/+5, but maybe one day. The next card is a 2 mana 2/3 Cole Tyran Chaplain. Battle cry, give a friendly minion +2 health. Like you said before, as we've seen with all of these priest cards, you just get vanilla stats, and they're like, here, slap on some health. You see that with Talon Priest. You see that with the Temple Enforcer. Now you have the Chaplain, which is the same idea. With priests, they just give you vanilla stats, and they say, here, if you got another minion, why not have some extra health?
Yep. It's also going to be a 130. All of these are 130. I swear these actually went into the algorithm and all came out 130. We did not just get lazy and said, you look like a 130. These are pretty
Yeah, it looks
basic
like
cards, right?
130.
So they're pretty easy to stick in the algorithm and you just get the right answer.
All right.
So yeah, it means they balanced it.
Next is Scarlet Subjugator, a 1 mana 2/1 minion. So vanilla stats already. Battle cry. Give an enemy minion -2 attack until your next turn. Very, very powerful. So if you guys remember, Shrinkmeister was a 2 mana 3/2 that had a battle cry. Give an enemy minion -2 attack, but only for that turn. It inverted back.
Mm-hmm.
This card you can subjugate them, and it's even if you're not like value trading, or even if you are value trading or something, they don't get the attack back. So uh, you're getting the stats that you should be able to get, and a lasting effect on a minion. Just really, really good, really nice,
Yeah.
but small,
Yeah.
which is not something that priests love.
And also, if you play it as a 1-drop, it does nothing. Unless your
Yeah.
opponent happens to play a 1-drop. So when
Hmm.
do you want to play 1 mana 2/1s? On turn 1. But this doesn't do much on turn 1, right? They do a lot of these things where they give a battle cry to a 1 mana minion that would make it more powerful later on. This is going to come out at a flat 100. Like, it's draftable. You don't love it in your deck, but you'll take it if you have to. And yeah, it's interesting that they gave Priest like 2 1 mana minions now.
Yeah. Tempo Priest.
Tempo Priest. But yeah, it fits, right? Like if you're building a Tempo Priest, you make them have less attack. That lets you hit it, potentially hit it more often, which you might have to do because your attack is lower than your health for your minions. It's all synergizing. This is it's a very well designed card.
Yeah, it all works out. All right, now we have Shadow Word Ruin. Epic spell. 4 mana, destroy all minions with 5 or more attack. So multiple Shadow Word deaths on a stick.
But keep in mind, Shadow
Um,
Word Depth is only 2 mana now.
yeah,
So this is double the mana. It
it's
looks
double the mana, and a lot of the times you don't really need it.
well. It's
Uh,
just it's more like it doesn't clear the board. You know,
yeah,
like that's why like you made a good comparison to Shadow Word Death on a stick. Like don't think of it as like a twisting nether with some limitations. It's
no,
Shadow Word Death on a stick. You need to like kill 2 of their big minions, kind of, to like get your money's worth for the mana cost, and you can't have anything with 5 or more attack. Um, so in Arena, you can't always control this kind of stuff. It is a high swing card, but it's like I think it seems more powerful than it actually is.
yeah, I see this one as being draftable if
Oh,
it's up
definitely.
against. Yeah, but it's like just really, really, really awkward. Very, very awkward. And your opponent, like on any given turn, if they're already pressuring you, very rarely will they only have things over 5
Yeah.
attack. So it's like, yeah, they could be pressuring you, but you're spending 4 mana. You're probably only removing 1 to 2 minions, and if they're putting you on large amount of pressure, they'll have other minions that will still keep on attacking you. So just, um, it's another annoying removal in their toolkit, but that's always been a problem with priests, like too much removals, too much conditional removals.
Yep.
Uh, so
Yeah, and
lastly, we
it's
have,
gonna it's gonna come out at around a 100. Like it's
I think that's
significantly
very fair.
worse than Shadow
Yeah,
Word Death.
yeah, yeah. Lastly, we have a legendary, Natalie Celine, an 8 mana, 8/1 battle cry, destroy a minion and gain its health. Whew. All right. So you got your assassinate, and you have an 8x minion.
And this minion can have as many or as little attack as it wants.
Yeah, it's
This is
crazy.
pure destruction. You don't see
Yeah.
that in Priest.
No, you don't, right? With priests, you see stuff that's like very, very awkward most of the time,
Yeah.
or a card that used a similar mechanic to this, Vol'jin,
Mm-hmm.
which swapped the stats, but it didn't kill it. So you needed something else either on the board or in your hand. You needed like a Holy Smite because Vol'jin's base health was 2 in order to finish the job. This just very cleanly does everything that you need, which, yeah, is weird. Priests definitely don't have that a lot of
Yeah.
the times. They either put like a condition on you taking this minion or killing this minion, or mind control is like that's one of those things in which 10 mana,
Yeah.
right? Like 10 mana is there's a certain barrier that Blizzard gives. It's like if it's 10 mana, it has to be like really, really powerful, really, really insane. We reserve like special cards for 10 mana.
Mm-hmm.
But Natalie Celine, it kind of breaks the mold of like, okay, everything that the priest does is powerful, but conditional. So it's good. It's obviously a very, very good card. Immediate impact, big body, nice.
Yep. I don't like the flavor, but
Yeah, I
it's
don't like it.
pick it. It's obviously a very powerful card. We rated a 156.
Yeah,
It's big. Okay, so that's kind of the new priest package coming in. We talked about what it's no longer doing. It's no longer able to go face. That's great in the arena. In arena, there was never combo priest. You never went face anyway. Any damage that you could go face with, it didn't really usually do much. So that was no loss whatsoever in the arena. You're not allowed to draw cards, but you can generate cards. In arena, it doesn't really matter that much if you draw your own cards or take your opponent's cards. It's very little
no,
difference. No one's planning ridiculous decks that are super synergistic. And so, again, not a huge loss for the priest. On the other hand, what priest did get is all of these tempo cards. All of these, like, all the cards got lower mana. You have Scarlet Subjugator to help you with tempo, Coltier Chaplain to help you with tempo, Power and Fusion to help you with tempo. Everything got more tempo-y. So that's very good because what is Arena, right? Arena's generally a tempo game. So your removals got more tempo-y, and your actual tempo and buffs on the buff healths and stuff got more tempo-y. So priests are going to be like, and this is all in the classic package. So when you're thinking about these kind of changes, you got to think about it from the perspective of this is going to be in every single arena meta now going forward, unless they do a weird one again where they don't put classic at base again. And so priests are going to be much more on the board. They're going to be much more about being on the board, buffing and healing, and then getting really efficient like counter plays to your opponent dropping like that large minion and you shadow or death. Or your opponent having multiple large minions and then you do the giant board clear that you have now. But it's going to be a lot more about building and buffing on the board. It's going to feel more paladin-y. So where paladins they have weapons, they have direct damage, they can turn on a dime and start going face. They can generate extra dudes. Priests just have to keep trading, keep healing, and like get that card advantage that way. It's honestly going to feel like it feels like a weird analogy, but in the arena, priests are going to feel like Warlock. Like,
yeah.
To the extent that they didn't already feel like Warlock, which they didn't because it was very control based. But now, your control cards may have gotten a bit better, but you did not get any more control cards. Like, that's the key. Blizzard took away a bunch of cards and they added some new cards, but they didn't change the overall balance of how many control cards Priest got. So that means they didn't change the offering odds on these things. So that means where Priest could have been Control Priest, they can still be Control Priest. Where they couldn't be Control Priest, which is most metas, they still can't be Control Priest. Just because your control cards are like all 1 mana off from where they used to be, doesn't make you that much better at control. Instead, now, in every arena meta going forward, Priest can always be Tempo Priest now. Because they have the package in Basic and Classic set. So depending on how good these are, and this is a pretty powerful package. It's nothing over the top or anything, but it's a pretty solid package overall. Like Druids would love to have this package. And you're going to see this Tempo Priest variant in the arena become, I think, the dominant, like the backbone of Priest. And then depending on what sets are rotating in or out, you may also be able to do Control Priest. So I think Priest as a class got quite a bit more dynamic and a bit more consistent, and also a bit more powerful. So that's all good things in my book.
Yeah. All right. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Lots of changes. We took a while on them, but there was lots to talk about.
Yeah. And you'll see us do, like, when you play, like, I don't know, I'll try to play more Priests after the Priest changes come in. These changes are coming in on Thursday, by the way. So you'll get a chance to play with these before the new expansion comes out. And I'll try to play some Priest and like really get a feel for these cards once they come out. But I think like I'm gonna like it. I like this kind of play style. Not like it's my favorite play style or anything, but it feels more cohesive to me. And not to like parallel designs and stuff, right? Also, you look at Hearthstone, what's wrong, and then you design something else. But in designing a similar class for Gods Unchained, a lot of the mechanics that I pushed for in the class went in a similar direction, and the stuff that Blizzard took out were pretty much the stuff that I took out. And the stuff that they're adding more of were the stuff that I was really heavy into, putting into the light class in Gods Unchained if you're a player. So yeah, like it's parallel design, right? You look at what's wrong with the class, why it functions well, why it doesn't function well, and you take out all the stuff that doesn't function well, and you put in the stuff that makes sense. So Blizzard was on the same wavelength as I was in terms of like what makes for good design in a class that looks like vaguely like the Priest. So yeah, that's like I think it's a win, and I think it's going to be you'll feel it. This is not a change where you're like, oh, I guess some cards changed around. No, the whole class is going to feel different when you're drafting, when you're facing them, when you're wondering, what am I afraid of? What am I like? How is this Priest going to screw with me? It's going to be different now. They're a Paladin Warlock hybrid now.
All right, cool. So that's I think what we want to talk about for the big changes here.
Yeah, because we're still an arena podcast too, even if you see us play more Battlegrounds these days. But we'll be honest with you up front. Like arena's dead or dying or left for dead. Let's not say it's dead. It's not dead.
It's
People are
left for
still
dead,
playing.
yeah.
People are still having fun with it. I'll still be playing, but it's been left for dead. Pretty clear. It's been clearly been left for. We should title this episode "Left for Dead." Um, but yeah, Battlegrounds is really where like I've been playing a lot more of. Immersive's been playing like a ton of over the
Not
past
really this
few
week.
months, right? But over the past few months,
But yes.
and it's let's talk about Battlegrounds. Battlegrounds was not left behind not Left for Dead. In the new announcements, they got a pretty big balance patch. So what's new in Battlegrounds?
Sure. I'll try to go through it fairly quickly.
Mhm.
New heroes were introduced, some of them old but reworked. You have Fungal Mancer Flurgle, whose hero power is after you sell a Murloc, Bob adds another random Murloc to the tavern. That Murloc cannot be of a higher tier; it can only be of the same tier that you are or lower.
Okay.
They
So
re-added.
you talk about a hero and I'll give you my reaction about
Okay,
that.
so
Okay.
Flurgle,
So
react.
Flurgo, my reaction is everyone says he's bad. I never played him. He seems complicated and like you have to click a lot of stuff really fast, which I can't do, so I'm not touching him. But he also like everyone
Yes,
says he's really bad, so really you should not play him either. But I do see
he
him in my lobbies a lot, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm gaining MMR so fast. Like if every other
he
lobby has a Flurgo and they suck, that means I'm not picking Flurgo and winning.
is pretty consistently in the bottom four. Now here's the thing. He's one of those heroes in which if you make it to the late game with him
Like
at a
tier 5.
reasonable spot, he can pop off. He
Hmm.
can pop off and just kind of single-handedly without Bran, without any kind of help, just go Murlocs.
Mm-hmm.
So
Easy
he's
trips,
good,
lots
but
of buffs. Get your
yeah,
Megasaurs after you trip.
yeah. Getting triple Murlocs with him is pretty easy. But once again, you are trying to get to that point without a hero power, and as we have seen with those heroes, that's really bad.
Yeah,
That's
because
very
you
inconsistent.
don't really want to like sell your Murlocs if you're going Murlocs, right? So you're not really going Murlocs as Flurgo in the early game.
No, and you
You
can't
can't. Your
because
hero power
you
doesn't
would
even
die.
support it. Like it's just like whatever Murlocs you happen to sell, you'll get additional Murlocs. When have you been excited to take a Murloc in the early game though? So it's just kind of a
Yeah,
useless hero power in the early game.
yeah. So meh. You can try him out definitely. Sir Finley was added back into the pool, but he has a new hero power
So much
in
better.
which his hero power is he discovers a hero power. That's it. Pretty good. Like basically just look at the other heroes offered. Are they not great or just like kind of average-ish? Then pick Finley.
So most people think of it as like a reroll, but keep in mind it's a reroll. It's in some ways better and in some ways worse than a reroll. It's worse than a reroll because you only get the leftover classes. Like whatever classes other people pick, you can't duplicate it.
No, you can.
Oh, you can duplicate it?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. Then it's just a good. Then it's just better than a reroll because not only can you duplicate it, but you
Yeah.
can also see your first roll
You
before you
can
pick
see
it.
your roll.
So you can pick like the more matchy one if you don't have like the best choices, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for example, like if you think to yourself like, "Oh, I rate Yogg and Millhouse about the same," right?
Mm-hmm.
If for you, you rate Yogg and Millhouse pretty similar, then if you're deciding and you pick Finley and you have
Double
Millhouse
like
and
a
also Yogg,
token.
it's like, do I have a token here or
Mm-hmm.
not, right? Because if I have a token, that makes Millhouse a lot better. Um, so it's these small considerations that you can use to decide. Um, Professor Putricide was added back to the pool,
Does he
and
do
now
anything? Yeah,
his
say his
hero
power. How his power changed?
his hero power is now give a friendly minion +10 attack for the next combat only, but you can target it now.
Yeah.
Previously, his hero power was put onto the leftmost minion, but now you can give it to any of your minions. So this means if you want to put it on that, to get a big cleave, you don't have to put your Cave Hydra or your Foe Reaper first in your lineup. You can put it in the middle so you can attack past the taunt and then do a huge cleave. Still not good.
Okay.
Still not good,
Good.
but interesting, right? It definitely helps. It definitely helps them out a little bit. And then they gave updates to heroes that were still in Battlegrounds before. Lich King, you can now target the minion for Reborn.
Oh, I don't know why you weren't allowed to target it before. For both of these, that seemed like a weird limitation to begin with.
Yep. So Lich King is now pretty decent, pretty good. Ysera, instead of costing 1, is now a passive. So at the start of your turn, Bob will add a dragon to the tavern. This also means that you can freeze your current board, and as long as there's still space on the board, Bob will add another one. And let's say you use the next turn to just level up and you don't buy anything. If you freeze that once again, he'll add another dragon after that, as long as you have space. So, Bob will just keep on adding dragons.
But he still sucks.
Ysera's okay. I mean, Ysera, dragons in general are a little bit better, and we can talk about that.
Okay.
But
I have yet to play Ysera. I know we were playing co-op earlier off stream before, and you're like, "Wait, you've never played Shutterwalk?" I've never played Shutterwalk. I've also never played Ysera.
Ysera's better now. Still, I would not prioritize her at all.
Okay, good.
But Ysera's like decent-ish. Pyramid now gives 4 health instead of 3 health. Still random though, so.
His win rate is pretty damn high, like on HS Replay.
4 health is high. 4 health is a lot at the very beginning.
Yeah. Also for 1 mana, 4 health, right?
1 mana, 4 health. And as we've seen in BGs, health is a lot more important than attack.
I was compared to Shutterwalk, right? It's random, but you are getting more of the stats you want.
Mm-hmm. Millhouse now starts with 3 gold. Before it was minions cost 2, refresh cost 2, you start at 2, and Millhouse was unanimously the worst hero at all levels. It doesn't matter if you're 4k MMR or 12k MMR, Millhouse was the absolute worst. And now he starts at 3 gold, and if you look at HS Replay, he has the highest win rate now. Very, very good. Very good hero.
I still don't know how to use them. I mean, I think I know how to use them. I just haven't, it's so random. You're just kind of stuck with it because you can't roll. If you can't roll,
I would look
you
at
cut
him
down.
definitely pre-nerf Deathwing, right? In which, on average, very powerful, but you do increase the chance that you go a top 7 or a top 8 or something. There's those lobbies in which that Deathwing gets screwed over, right? Pre-nerf, everyone else has the rats, everyone else has the bronze wardens. He never gets anything. And with Millhouse, you can definitely have. It's you can beat people up in the early game, but in the mid game, if you really just get nothing, you increase the chances that you're not gonna do well. So, but on average, really, really good. You guys should definitely pick Millhouse. You will, on average, climb a decent amount if you get him, and if you play him well. You have to play him well. He plays very differently from other heroes. And then you have Rat King.
He's back.
He's back. Well, I mean, his hero power is back. He never really left. But instead of
he left.
Giving a random try +1/+1, it's now +1/+2, which is how it was at the very beginning of BG.
It's so crazy, right? In the very beginning of BG, he was super dominant, and now he got his power back, and he's still not that great. I guess they added one more, they added dragons, right?
Yeah, they added dragon. Also, there's no amalgam anymore.
Oh yeah, no, that's true.
There was amalgam, which was everyone. Amalgams were everything, and it didn't matter what he rolled. Yeah. Whenever you found an amalgam, it was a 4/6.
That's fair.
So that was a little bit busted. That was just a little
Okay.
bit busted. It's like it didn't matter what tribe you rolled on that turn. You didn't need luck. As soon as you saw an amalgam, it was a 4/6 amalgam.
Is
That
he
was pretty dumb.
okay now? I haven't played him yet.
He's okay.
He's
Yeah, he's
okay?
fine.
Okay.
He's
He's
okay.
like
That
doable. He's like patchwork level. Like I love patchwork right now. I freaking
yeah.
like I love that freaking hero right now. It's so basic and I can just do my thing.
Mhm.
And Rat King was always like kind of like similar to that, where you don't have to like alter your strategy too much to it, and you just like luck
No.
into some stats or not, right?
Yeah. He's fine. He's
Okay.
totally fine right now. Um Maleficent Manastorm, mechs in Bob's Tavern now have +2 attack instead of +1 attack. It's okay.
Still
It's
not as
fine.
good as the +1/+1, but
Yeah. Deathwing got a nerf. All minions now have +2 attack instead of +3 attack. Very, very critical sort of break points because now if minions have 1 attack, they only get buffed to +3 attack, and a lot of things have 4 attack at the beginning of the game. But still a pretty good hero. It just went from the number 1 hero essentially to pretty good hero, like
it feels so
a
bad. Like it doesn't
uh
feel powerful or Deathwingy. Like I get it, it's balanced. I
well,
played Deathwing a number of times in the new meta. Like he's much more balanced than he was before, and he's not a crap
he's
hero. Like
balanced.
win for
Yeah, like
balance, but flavor wise, like it's such a finesse kind of thing with Deathwing now, where you're like, like you were talking about, right? A lot of things have 4 health. So it's like, am I hitting the things with 4 health with my 2 attack minions instead of my tokens, or I don't know.
yeah, Deathwing now you have to like there's no more of the stories of people getting 2 rat packs and then going to tier 5 or tier 6, right? Like stuff that just shouldn't happen in Battlegrounds. So Deathwing can't pull those off anymore. What
Mm.
he is a hero power that he can semi exploit to tier up a bit faster to use to his advantage in some comps. He's good. He's just a good hero now. Reno Jackson's hero power is now 3 costs instead of 4. Not bad. You save a gold in the
Mhm.
mid game or late game or something. Nothing too
You think they're
crazy.
gonna change George again? Because George got moved from 4 mana to 3 mana, but he's still like not quite there. Think they're gonna make it 2 mana, or is that too much?
No, 2 mana is a little bit broken.
Okay.
I think George is fine. I think George is like mid tier right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm,
I
yeah.
like him right now. I think he
Yeah,
does. He
he's
does
he's
pretty good.
George is fine. Like one of the reasons they changed him before was he was like dumpster tier.
Yeah.
He was like people were lumping him in with Jiraxis, right? Before he
Hmm.
got changed. And
Oh, do you
now that
mean Jiraxis, one of the overperforming heroes according to HS Replay?
at people under 5k, yes.
At 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 all people, all data, and using non-discriminatory data.
Yeah.
Jiraxis
Because
is
it includes
above
those
average.
people under 5k. Uh
Honestly,
the
I haven't played Jiraxis in so long. I just keep hearing people who are like, he's bad, but I'm like, that hero power, it doesn't look bad. I guess you're just forced to go demons. If you don't find demons, you die.
yeah, it looks bad. It looks real bad.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, they changed some minions as well. I don't want to go through all of this, but let's just say that dragons are the big winners. Dragons have a very good mid game now, which is something that they did not have. And Kalgos got a pretty sizable stat buff as well.
Hmm.
But really, the big change is Twilight Emissary went from a tier 5 unit that buffed +3/+3 to now a tier 3 unit that's a 4/4 taunt, and Battlecry give a friendly dragon +2/+2. This is really the one that has changed the meta
Yeah.
the most
Because
because
it
now
links up the two. Like
Mhm.
that like dead period between like
Yeah.
tier 4 and tier 5 is now filled with happiness.
Yeah, and it's very useful that Twilight Emissary is now at the same tier as Bronze Warden. So you can
Yeah.
immediately put the +2/+2 on a dragon that really matters, that really
Yeah.
wants that buff. Previously, your Bronze Wardens, unless you were buffing it with like Menagerie Magician or a Zubat, was just not getting buffed until or unless you go up to tier 5, and that's a huge jump. That's a huge
Yeah.
jump.
And there's
Um,
like more of them now. Because when you
Yeah, there's a
move
lot more.
something like down 2 tiers, you have a lot more of them in the pool. So they don't
Mhm.
just come out earlier. We have much more consistency in doing normal stuff with dragons.
So dragons are quite good. The meta is similar to the pre-patch meta in that people are still tearing up quite fast, unless they change it, unless they do something that allows aggro, like such as the demon meta. I think this is just sort of the way it's going to be
And it's
for
the
a
way it
while.
should be. Like this is a good pace. Like I like this pace. You do something for a turn, then you level. You do something for a turn, then you level. You do something for a turn, then you level. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that feels nice.
Yeah,
Um,
that's kind of how it is. And they have good tools for you to hunker down and just play defensively in tier
yes,
3 and tier 4 as
yes, they
well.
do, and that's what I do all the time. I was telling Mervs this earlier. I played like between last night and this morning. I played probably like a little over a dozen. Well, I probably played like 16 altogether. But if you take out the Millhouse ones, which I did poorly, all the other ones I did never place lower than fifth, and because I just kept hunkering down, and I was playing very scared. But I still got a number of first place finishes, so I'm climbing. But you can get a ridiculous amount of consistency if you just play conservative, pick conservative heroes that don't swing too much, and then just like not go as fast as other people. Like the amount of times I don't level to like tier 4 when I should, or even level up to tier 3 when I should. Like just waiting one extra turn, not like just like staying there for a long period of time, is probably like half of my games. Like whenever I'm feeling a little insecure about my health total, I'm like, no, 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 I gotta win the next couple. That's how you lock the 5. And at least I'm like almost 9.5k. It's still working here. It may no longer work up in Merps's top 100 rankings, but it's still letting
I
me
mean,
climb here.
we're not that like we're playing the same people. The math just changes once fourth place gives you at best +8 and
Mm,
sometimes minus a few points, and like fifth place gives you just so it changes a little bit in what you do in terms of like if I keep hanging out in that fourth, fifth place zone, um, it's fine. But it definitely changes how like if I
yeah,
have a
your
chance,
risk
I'm
reward
like,
calculation is different.
yeah, yeah. Your risk reward calculations are definitely a bit different. And of course, this is like completely situational for a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only thing that changes a little bit because if you're over 9K, you're getting in the same lobbies as someone like 11K as well.
Really?
Um, it's just your calculations are very different.
Like
And
I'm in
then
the
if you're
same lobbies as like the top players right now.
yeah, yeah, if you're queuing at the same time as them, you're getting into the
Huh.
lobbies.
I haven't noticed
What
anybody on the leaderboard.
it's
I think there's
it,
more people than you think, like in like the mid
there's
or
definitely
low
like a decent
9,000s.
amount of people. So you can still get in. You'll just be pulled down a little bit more often than like I will be, right? It's about like averages. So for
Okay.
example, it's like will you get into lobbies with like top 100 or top 50 players? Yes. But you will get pulled into lower lobbies a bit more often than someone like Victor's Smurf account, which is like 11K.
Mhm.
That's basically it. So,
Mhm.
which is unlike, let's say, like a 7K account, which will never, almost never, like be matched up with like Victor or Dog or Collins, right?
Cool, cool, cool. But yeah. Um, I mean, I don't even know what the strongest comp for Battlegrounds is right now. I feel like it's just so balanced. Like, and I like that there's different tiers of comps. I mean, I guess there always was, but there's more variety now in like the stuff like shooty demons or like mechs that you just can't go all the way with, but can get you into a pretty safe position. And then the next tier of stuff that can get pretty ridiculous. Um, and then the like super ridiculous end game stuff with the Divine Shield Murloc guys or like just Murlocs in general. Um, yeah, there's a number of like tiers to it now, and the fact that the dragons are made especially for BGs, it really makes a difference. it really makes me wish that they probably will at some point, to like actually just remake the game, you know? Like take out a bunch of like mechs or beasts or whatever, or demons, just something else they want to focus on, right? And just not use any more base units from the game, or use like one or two representative ones, and the other ones just make them from scratch for BGs. Because right now the problem with using old units is they can't even buff or nerf them because the
Yeah.
card is there. So they can buff or nerf the golden versions a little, but they can't like what they did. For one of the dragons, the Steward of Time or whatever, that was like a 2/4. They changed it to a 3/4, and it feels great. It's not overpowered. It's just the right power level for tier 2, and they can't do that with any existing unit because it's in the actual game of Hearthstone.
Yep. But what they so I imagine what they'll do sometimes is just like, okay, this card, it just doesn't really fit. What we'll do instead is just we'll take it out and we'll just put in a very BG specific card
Yep.
that does fit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's definitely BG now is like a good mix of cards that we see in the normal Hearthstone game and specific cards to BG, right? At the very beginning, we saw a lot of just cards that you were familiar with in Hearthstone. But now, patch after patch after patch, they've introduced a ton of cards very tailored for BGs. And that's why BGs are really fun and pretty well balanced right now because they were using I was basically saying before, like, it was a MacGyver sort of project.
Yeah.
It's like they were using coconuts to make a radio, right? Well, now they're actually using fine-tuned parts, fine-tuned cards in order to make this game. So it's going to be a ton smoother than before.
That makes sense, and I'm looking forward to it. I've been having a lot of fun with BGs. One of the I do think though that more than improving, one of the big things that's happened in the last in the last update and in the last BG update before this update is they keep making the animations faster, and they don't change the time of the rope, so you have just way more time to do things. And like when you buy a unit, put it on the board, and then sell it, that process is now like 10 times faster than it used to be. So like it really opened things up for me. Like I don't think I'm thinking about things that much faster, but BG's finally got on like my wavelength where I am now able to complete my moves on more than 95% of turns.
Wow.
And if I don't complete it, it's like, oh no, I forgot to position one thing, or like, oh, I hung one mana. Like it's not the end of the world. Whereas before, there were turns in which I'm just like, yeah, I did like half my turn, and I'm gonna lose now because other people did their whole turns.
All right, so that's the BG changes and a little insight into the BG metas as well. Very fun.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely more fun than arenas right now. And if you guys want that fun limited format gameplay, go play some BGs.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I definitely recommend BGs. Even if you are like a hardcore arena player, like there's nothing much going on in the arena until Thursday, like when the priest comes in, and then it'll only be interesting if you're facing a priest or if you're playing a priest, I think. And then in 2 more weeks, or like I guess a week and a half after that, the new expansion is gonna come out, and like that's when like everything's changing. There's a rotation. The demon hunter is entering. Like I think arena will feel very fresh. They're probably rotating Twin Tyrant out? Question mark? Question mark? Please, please, please.
Who knows, man?
So yeah, that's the date I have circled. Actually, taking it off that whole week, so I hope I'll be playing a lot of arenas. Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to add before we wrap this up?
That's it. It's been a long podcast, but it was an important week for Hearthstone, so it makes sense.
Yeah. Remember, next week we talk about the Demon Hunter. It is an intensive episode about the Demon Hunter and what adding classes to Hearthstone looks like for the arena, from the arena perspective. And then the week after that, we do our normal pre-release Lightforge tier list valuation stream. That is 6-8 hours long. Who knows? And as usual, we'll be starting that, if you're watching this live, we'll be starting that 1 hour before we normally do to give ourselves a little bit of extra time. So yeah, that's our Lightforge podcast schedule for the next 2 weeks. Until next week when we talk about the Demon Hunter, this is Adbukta.
This is Merp. See you guys.